Hey guys, it's Brian and Liz here for the first edition of our Pride Behavior series. So I wanted to take a minute and interview Liz. First to introduce her, she's been at Hawthorne for 6 years. She's a huge part of what we do. She has the unique opportunity to work with a variety of our students in different contexts. So I think she's a wealth of information in interacting with our students and building trust-based relationships that can result in reducing behaviors of concern and promoting the positive pride behaviors we're looking for. I know I've witnessed Liz on several occasions interacting with students, and it's helped me kind of reframe my own approach to interacting with students when they're in crisis. So to start out, Liz, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you approach students when you see them in crisis, maybe in the hallway or in other places?
Yeah, so sometimes I've seen kids in the hallway and they're either, they're usually with another staff member and they might be kind of yelling or walking away from the staff member and the staff member is trying to get them back. So usually if there's one teacher in the hallway with that student, I might go up and ask, like, hey, are you do the gestures that Ryan taught us, safe or out if you need help or if you've got the situation handled. And then especially if there's multiple adults that are already taking care of the situation or the student in crisis, we don't need to add more adults because then you just get like a huge group of people and this student probably feels a little bit intimidated that I was just having this bad moment and now it's gotten really big and there's so many people involved and then there's other kids walking in the hallway. So usually if I see more than one or two adults with that student, I just try to ignore the situation and then walk around them and after asking, are you safe or are you out? And depending on the answer, see if I can find somebody else or call for an administrator. I think some of those things would be helpful. Just ignoring the student or asking if the teacher or staff member needs help dealing with that specific situation.
Right. So just making sure, jump in when you're needed and then being able to read the situation and take guidance from your peers on when your help is not going to be effective. What about students that are coming into your room that maybe look, in distress, or you've even witnessed them in their classroom having trouble? How do you interact with them?
Yeah, so since I have the unique opportunity to work with a bunch of different students, I go into classrooms all the time to pull out my groups. So sometimes I get a kid when they're leaving their classroom and they just look distressed, or you can tell that something just happened in the classroom or they've just kind of started off on the wrong foot, so they seem kind of frustrated. So my first response is ask how they're doing, and if they say, I'm having a really bad day or whatever, I ask, do you want to talk about it? And then that way they have permission to kind of opt out, because sometimes they don't want to talk about it and it's not going to be any better if you force them to talk because they might not have processed it yet. They don't know exactly what went wrong or how they're feeling, so they might not be ready to talk, especially, or they might not want to talk to me about it, or they do because I'm someone who's completely removed from the situation. So I give them permission to talk to me about what happened, and if they say, I don't want to talk about it, I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then when we get to my room, it's a completely clean slate. I'll have just whatever activity we were going to do, and then I'm just can start fresh with them. And then also if the kid does want to talk about what happened, then I just give an empathetic ear and I try to listen and say, that sounds really hard, or maybe you can talk to somebody about that, or how can you resolve that situation if they do want to talk and have a conversation with me about it. And then sometimes if they've had that rough time when I got them from the classroom, and then after we are ready to head back to the classroom, sometimes they've kind of turned it around and they do a really great job with me, and I, encourage them, or I don't know the word I'm trying to think of, thank you for turning your behavior around. So I'm appreciative that they turn their behavior around, they're ready to go back to class. And then when they go to the teacher, I've seen, I'd say like about 2 different kinds of situations where the kid goes back to the class, and sometimes the teacher isn't necessarily ready for them to come back emotionally, or they're still kind of frustrated from the situation that just happened. So when I bring the kid back, I can sometimes see that the teacher hasn't welcomed them back because they're not quite ready for them. So they might be like keeping score or saying, oh, did they still do bad with you, or something like that. And then the kid doesn't necessarily feel like welcomed as part of the community in their classroom anymore because, my teacher is still keeping score of what happened 30 minutes ago, even though I had a great time with Miss Colley. And the other situation, which is I'd say what I see most of the time, is that the kid is welcomed back by their teacher, and then they do feel part of that community with their teacher, even though something bad happened, or they had like a miscommunication, or they had a personality conflict, or in the classroom, and then when the kid comes back and the teacher welcomes him back, sometimes I might say, you know what, he did a really great job, you can give him an extra dojo point, or whatever kind of behavior support they use in the classroom, and then that way the kid knows, okay, I had a bad moment in class, I took a break. I mean, it's not a break because they're coming with me, they're still doing something, but I got a separate moment away from the classroom, and then I can come back, and they know that their teacher cares about them still and are part of the community even though they had a rough moment.
Yeah, that's great stuff, and important for me to hear, because sometimes I need to change my attitude towards the student, even if they haven't necessarily changed their attitude yet towards me. So it's a lot to think about, a lot to process. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your insights with us. So thanks again. I know you're super busy. Stay tuned. We got more episodes coming up, and I'm excited to hear from all you out there and your successes here at Hawthorne. Thanks.